Hey y'all, I'm going to talk about what's going on with the economy right now, and you won't want to miss this. So stay tuned. We're starting right now. Hey y'all, Debbie Dobbins here. I am your host for this episode of Your Wichita Falls. And today we're going to talk about what's going on with the economy because it directly impacts everything that's happening to you in your life. And there's things that you can do about it. I'm not going to talk about political things, but I just want to share with you what's happening in the bigger picture that's going to impact you directly. If you like this channel, please subscribe, become a member, join us, share with us. Come join us on Wichita Whispers. We are such a great, amazing community, and I would love for you to be part of it. So for those of you that don't know, I am a real estate agent and I do mortgage loans. Well, with that being said, I'm constantly paying attention to what the economy is doing because it directly relates to those things called interest rates. So everybody knows what an interest rate is. Some of you don't pay attention to your credit cards because they're like 25%. Everybody wants to pay attention to mortgage rates, which I find fascinating. And a lot of times people have no idea how those rates come to be. You hear things out there in the cosmos and you filter them through whatever your filter is, and then you come up with an idea of how that's created. So let me give you a quick tutorial on how mortgage interest rates basically are created, if you want to use that word, how they go up and they go down. Everybody's familiar with the stock market, right? So I want to just put it in that context because the stock market goes up and down. Some people don't have any idea how that works either. But the fact is it's just based on supposedly the value of a company. So more people are going to pay per share more for a Facebook or an Amazon because they think that it's a thriving company. So mortgage rates are determined by what's called the bond market. So there is a treasury for 10-year, 15-year, 30-year bonds, and they trade just like the stock market. What happens is, because it's a very volatile environment, and the bond market is also what's called a safe haven. So when the stocks are out of control or they're going down, a lot of times investors will take their money out of the stock market, which is their cash, and put it into bonds because it's a safe haven because it doesn't go as crazy as the stock market. So what happens is, just because the bond market is traded just like the stock market, it can fluctuate from time to time during the day, multiple times a day, and that directly impacts how rates show up. Because what happens is there's a big pool of investors called the secondary market. They're buying bonds, but they're also buying interest rates. So they're buying these interest rates just like you would buy a stock that will be for a period of time. What happens is also there is what's called the Fed fund rate. So it's what lenders buy and sell money for. And that is impacting also how the bond market reacts. Because at the end of the day, the Fed is saying this is how much money it's going to cost to lend money. Not necessarily, they don't control the bond market, but the bond market responds to them. So I often say the bond market and the stock market are like a bunch of teenage boys that just like fly off the handle at any given thing. If you notice, the stock market and the bond market go up and down crazily. So what happens though is if the Fed, the Federal Reserve, says something like, oh, for instance, they've said we're going to raise interest rates, meaning the Fed fund rate to lend money, we're going to raise that six times this year, 1/4 point. That triggers the bond market to go, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So they build it in to the bond market by selling off or buying, depending on which direction they're going. So what has happened is the Fed keeps squawking and the bond market's reacting. So now interest rates, if you haven't noticed, have gone up almost a full point since beginning of December, which is really astronomical because that's a lot of increase. But basically what is happening is they're building in what they believe the Federal Reserve is about to do. Now, what does that mean to you? Is that it's going to cost you more interest to borrow money across the board. Now, with the mortgages, it's with the bond market. It's another secondary market for cars, for credit cards. Credit cards are already, too high, and they're going to continue to be that way. But if you get a personal loan, the interest rate is going to be higher when you borrow money. In the long run, what does that mean for you? It means that anything that you're borrowing money on is going to cost you more money. That's number one. What else is happening right now? Have you noticed the gas prices? The gas prices are up. And I think I've shared this, but it's worth sharing again. Everybody that's filing tax returns right now, if you took advantage of the child tax credit checks that came in the mail, that wasn't free money, by the way. That was basically a loan from the government that will now not be able to be deducted as a deduction on your tax returns up to certain amounts. So in the past, you took that child tax credit on your taxes, you got a higher return. Now, you'll either get a lower return if you took the checks, or in some cases, you may have to pay money to the IRS. So that whammy's coming in just these next few months. And the current administration has alluded to the fact that they want to raise your income taxes. And if you own property, those property taxes have gone up. And I did a video in July telling y'all to anticipate what is happening right now. All of the escrow accounts for all of the people that borrowed money last year have gone up, but they didn't know it because the lender didn't know it. So now your payments have gone up because your taxes have gone up, and some of you have shortages, so your payment went up even more. This is what we call a perfect storm. I'm not gloom and doom. I'm here to tell you to begin to look at, how do I budget? How do I begin to weather this storm that's coming up? Property values are not going down anytime soon. However, the cost of purchasing them is going up. The cost of rent is going up because renters have to now respond to investors who have bought property. So if you feel like things are starting to be really tight right now, you're absolutely right. Everything is becoming tighter and tighter and tighter. And if your income is not going up and all of your expenses are going up, even my Hulu's going up, all of your expenses are going up, you're going to be able to feel this crunch, and it's going to take away all of this disposable income that you may or may not have at this point. So I just wanted to share a little bit about how interest rates are going up, how gas is going up, and then plan accordingly. It doesn't mean that we're headed for a depression. We are in inflation, and that's why the Fed is raising the interest rates. But it's really, really important to begin to see how that future is being laid out. And maybe you need to get a side hustle. Maybe you need to vote for different people into office. Whatever you feel like you need to do to make this transition more palatable for you and your family, I'm giving you the information because it's happening. It's happening right now in real time. And I really, really wish that everybody would pay attention. I really wish that I could share this information so that you can make those effective decisions for you and your family. And oh, by the way, if you're in one of those bigger states or more expensive states or expensive cities, come to Wichita Falls because we have one of the lowest cost of livings in America, and it's the happiest place in Texas. So stay tuned for 2 more videos. If you'd like to schedule a Zoom call with me and learn a little bit more about what's happening in the world, the economy, Wichita Falls, there is a Zoom call link in the first comments below. And as I always say, y'all come back now. You hear?